What's happening, people? Welcome to another edition of Power Trip here on the Got What You Need Network. Of course, I'm your host, Scott. Um, First, I want to apologize, man. I haven't been as consistent as I should be, and in these times where I need to be. And I have an explanation for this. I don't know if it's a legitimate one, but it's a truthful one. It's just really too hard to keep up with stuff at certain time. Um, like the emotions that go into like doing the research and then seeing like how like I understand that like the United States has always been like a country like built on like racial like hierarchy or whatever, right? And it is what it is. Sometimes it rears its ugly head, and sometimes, you know, what's going on in the country makes you think that, hey, maybe America has turned the page, so to speak. Um, Obviously, we know that that's wrong, just based on the president actions alone. People are going to be people. But most of the people that you encounter at the gas station, in line at the store, or wherever these things sort of happen, they don't control policy. They don't control the price of groceries. You know, um, they don't issue statements that could then turn into bills and then can turn into laws. Like they're they're just people, and people can behave in whatever way they want, and they're not going to be held to the same standard as an elected official. That don't mean it's right, but you can kind of brush some regular, MO saying something slick. You could just kind of brush that off, like whatever. And what I mean is like, let's talk about what the President's Department of Justice, because they're acting all on his actions. They brought up charges against the Southern Poverty Law Center. And when I say when I explain this to you, people are going to be looking at their devices like Sky Trek. They are literally saying that it was unfair that they used paid informants to, um, I guess, integrate the um, KKK and build cases for them back in, the 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever. And the United States government, the Department of Justice, is basically treating members of the Klan caught in some of the most heinous crime against African Americans, against Black people, are now being defended in federal court as being unfairly targeted. And once again, I can't make this up. Now, the thing is, this case is going nowhere. And Donald Trump and the Department of Justice knows that it's not going anywhere. But what they want to do is force the Southern Poverty Law Center to spend money, to waste resources on this frivolous case, which makes the entire organization weaker. The U.S. government, the Department of Justice has unlimited resources and funds, and they can, you know, carry this case out as long as they want, and that's what they intend to do. So hopefully this case goes in front of a sensible judge who just throws it out, and then it's like, okay, you made your announcement, you gave the racist base the red meat that you felt like they needed. Now let's move on or whatever, and that's what most experts are saying is probably going to happen. But in this new world, you just can't even guarantee that. So we're gonna definitely keep our eyes on this. Like every time he does something, I'm like, it's a slap in the face to black people. But he's just been just slapping us like, every week it seems. Um, Recently, the Supreme Court has stripped major provisions of the Voting Rights Act. And soon as they did that, states like Tennessee and Louisiana immediately redrew their districts. And all while that's going on, the district maps that were voted upon in Virginia were said to be illegal, and they had to go back to the other maps. So not only is this administration, along with the DOJ, making policies and rulings blatantly against black people. They're even they're even cheating from another aspect is that even when a state like Virginia does the right thing and leaves it up to the voters, the Supreme Court says, so what? You can't use them anyway. Like, just think about that. Tennessee, as soon as the ruling came down, the first thing they did was call a session in and drew out the district that makes up the Memphis and surrounding areas, the only black district in Tennessee. Louisiana, like, went to draw maps the same way. South Carolina wanted to do it, but the Republican House Speaker got up and said the quiet part out loud. He said, South Carolina is not a Republican state, it's a conservative state. And if you do this, you will increase black turnout and it will be to our democracy. And that's what he said. And that's the only reason that South Carolina didn't go along with all the shenanigans of the other racist states. And even though Indiana is in the South, they wanted to do it, but it was just too many Republicans in the state house in Indiana that just didn't want to be part of it. And then when you continue on this racial thing that this president is on, he seems to love to target black women, whether it's Justice Jackson from the Supreme Court we call low IQ. And the fact that this dumb motherfucker gets to call anyone low IQ is just crazy. But that's like his go-to. But then anytime he does an interview, he sounds like an imbecile, sounds like an idiot. But because the media is so scared and so fearful of him, very few will even challenge him on anything. Like he literally called Rachel Scott from ABC a bitch. Like, and all she did was ask a question. But Trump and his cronies have it so bad. They have it so good, but so bad for us that they basically articulated that any criticism and or disagreement of this administration is basically treason. Like, when did this start? So we have to go along with everything. That woman asked a very legitimate question about the Iran war and the inconsistent statements, not only from him, but from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Like, they're both lying. They lied about the pilot story. That was a failed attempt to extract the uranium, and it failed miserably. And the uranium isn't buried where no one can get to it. It's buried to where the United States and Israel can't get to it. So please stop allowing them to lie to you. They're also lying about their control of the Hormuz Strait. I've literally went online to get authentic calls from the Iranian Navy, basically speaking to an American ship. The American ship was basically saying that they're in international waters and Iran didn't have any right to stop them. The next call that the Iranian individual said was, anyone in the Hormuz Strait, if you see the American warship, you must stay at least 10 miles away from it because it's subject to be destroyed. He didn't haggle with the person from the United States. He didn't go back and forth. They had like two interactions, and then he said, okay, bet. And was like, yeah, don't be near them because we gonna sink their ass if they don't leave. And what did they do? They hauled ass back to the Indian Ocean. When in the history of anything have you heard about American military being treated this way, being defeated this way? And some listening might say, well, defeated, that's strong. You're basically saying that they're losing. They're not winning. Iran is doing pretty much what they want to do. Um, they're not asking for any deal. The United States is. They basically are like, yo, we're good. Y'all just need to leave and we'll be okay. It's so bad that the only reason we don't have a UN resolution condemning Iran is because Russia and China had the courage to say no. Like, we're not doing this where like they get attacked and no mention of the 400 girls that got killed in the school. And I thought it was a double tap. I'm finding out legitimately that that school was hit 4 times. So it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't, bad intelligence. It was something deliberate and was meant to cause pain, and they wanted to cause the people of Iran to turn on their leadership, and instead it backfired, and all it did was strengthen the resolve of the Iranian people. I mean, because be clear and be clear on my stand. I just think that we need to mind our business. That being said, at the beginning of this, you could see that there was momentum towards a good portion of the Iranian population possibly turning on leadership. But once even those people saw how Israel and the United States was behaving, they're like, nah, I'm rolling with my people. We might not have a perfect country, but who does? And why do the United States and Israel get to come in here and tell us what to do? And we're older than both of them. Like imagine you got a country that's like 6,000 years old, and it's trying to tell one country what's 1948 till now. That's how old Israel is, and then the United States is going to be 250 this year, and telling one of the oldest civilizations in all of the world, the Persians, who make up most of the Iranian population, and you're trying to tell them what to do or dictate what it is that they're supposed to do. So right now, man, gas is high. Where I live, it's about 450. Um, it's been that way. It shouldn't be, because first of all, oil companies are making major profits, so they could withstand selling gas at a consistent price, like, $3, let's say, for 5, 6, 7 months, and it wouldn't hurt them any. But they're so greedy, they're never going to do that. So any sign of any type of volatility in the Middle East, Exxon, BP, whoever, they immediately price gouge. And, we're here and we're stuck. So, and the thing is, anytime we think that it's going to be over, if Netanyahu and Israel don't want it to be over, it won't be over. And that's the sad thing about it, is we're fighting this war for another country. This has nothing to do with them having nukes. And so what if they did? As long as I've been alive, the Iranian people, the Iranian government has never made a threat to the United States. Any type of conflict was caused by us. Whether it was us trying to basically deboat their oil, um, or in the or institute or um, implement our like leadership that have American interests and not Iranian interests, and then the people of Iran will to hate that person. And then, of course, they're going to hate us because they know that that person is ruling with an iron fist on behalf of the West. So why should they like it? So, like I said, man, we need to mind our business when it comes to Iran, and black people and people that want change. It is May. All right. If you're eligible to vote, now is the time to make sure that your motor vehicle, state ID, or license has the address of your voter registration. If it doesn't, let's take care of that stuff now so that we can have a major, major, major turnout in November. Donald Trump is the president because 90 million people stayed home. The end. All right. So let's not make that same mistake. Um, People seem to be talking a lot about this change of heart, and a lot of MAGA individuals, even like some famous ones. Margie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson, and you got people like Cenk Huger and Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks. Um, you got your kid. His first name's David, and I'm sorry I don't have his name in front of me, but the kid that was a student at um that Florida shooting. Oh my God. And he became like a political operative in the Democratic Party. He's not important, but I'm getting at the point that him and the people that I named before are like, we should forgive them. Like, it's a big tent. We should bring them all in. The more, the merrier. And I'm like, nah, fuck that. First of all, y'all didn't have this big tent energy when it came to Kamala Harris, and especially that kid. And don't get me wrong, man. Like, I applaud him for his courage. Like, he was part of a school shooting, survived, and graduated and became a major political figure, man. And I'm not mad at him. He decided to turn a tragic event and his, childhood leading up to his young adulthood and decided to do something about it. So I'm definitely not, against him. I'm just against this notion that anytime a white person has a change of heart, it's like they should be forgiven. Everything that they ever done should be forgotten. Why are we doing this? We need to move on. And I just don't subscribe to that. Margie Taylor Greene harassed the kid I was just talking about when he came to DC, saying, basically, saying it didn't happen the way you said it happened, even though we watched it. You're not a victim. You're just a Democratic hat, trying to garner sympathy, and you just want to take away our guns, and basically was harassing him on the street. Margie Taylor Greene is also letting know that she's racist as well. Like, she couldn't beat Jasmine Crockett in a debate, on issues and policy. So what'd she do? Talked about her with her fake nails and her fake eyelashes or something. And then like all the racist stuff, um, she said as being one of like the biggest MAGA supporters. And what's sad about Margie Taylor Greene is if she had been picked as Trump's pick to run for Senate against Oswald in Georgia for the Georgia Senate, she wouldn't care about the Epstein stuff. And the reason that I say that is because most people knew what was in those files before the leaks came. Most people knew that Donald J. Trump was very, very good friends with Jeffrey Epstein before anything got leaked. You're not going to have that many pictures, like pictures that the public has seen, and you didn't have anything to do with any of the stuff going on. So we know that. And in my opinion, I felt like she knew, and if she had gotten her way, she would be just like all the other Republicans that are basically calling it a nothing burger. Her concerns about the files are basically to get back at Donald Trump for what she views as disloyalty. Now, because of that disloyalty and basically forcing her or causing her to go after him and to constantly bring up things that concerning things about what we're finding about in the files each and every day, it's a good thing. And it's a good thing that, she continues to talk about it. But that doesn't mean that we need to forgive and forget everything she did or said up till now. She had an agenda when she was MAGA, and she has an agenda now. And like I said, you can or we can appreciate what she's saying and what she's exposing without like pretending like we gotta invite her to the cookout. You know what I'm saying? Um, Same thing with Tucker Carlson. Um, Once again, had questionable views and still do on race, but you know, has this affinity for the Palestinian people. And I'm not mad at that. Like I'm glad that the Palestinians are getting more and more powerful allies. Because obviously just exposing genocide and exposing the treatment of the Palestinian people, Palestinian prisoners, Palestinian women, Palestinian children, just exposing like what they're doing is not enough. You almost can lose your job for reporting on it. I've known people that have gotten fired um, for speaking on something that they saw with their own eyes, or speaking on something that affected people testified to them, happened to them. And somehow they're more wrong for taking in that information and then distributing distributing it on their platform than the acts that they're reporting. And somebody listening, acts. What do you mean? That's all propaganda. Listen, Crystal Ball, respected journalist, as well as the New York Times. And say what you want about the New York Times. The New York Times has never been this anti-Zionist, or I mean, anti-Semitic publication. They've been a pro-Zionist and a pro-Jewish and a pro-Israel publication for as long as like I knew about all of this stuff. And they are reporting, and I want y'all to listen to this. They are training dogs to rape Palestinian, male Palestinian prisoners. One of the reports says that they handcuffed and shackled the guy, stripped him of his clothes, and sprayed something on him, and then the dog attacked him. It's so bad, right? And I'm sorry, if you were outside the New York Times protesting that those stories would run, you're evil. These people were outside of New York Times, basically mad at the reporter for reporting this truthful story than what was happening back in Israel to these prisoners. And hundreds of people rallied outside the New York Times asking for the reporter to be fired and not saying, wait a minute, what's going on back in Israel? This has to stop. I can't believe this is going on. None of that. None of that. Basically, all they want is for anybody who says anything negative, whether it's true or not. If you say anything negative about Israel and the way that they're acting or the way that they're behaving, excuse me, you are anti-Semitic. Or if you talk about genocide, you're you're a blood libel propagandist. They have it so together in regard to their propaganda machine that they're literally on Reddit saying maybe if we contacted some reputable dog trainers and then had them testify that it's impossible to teach a dog to rape, maybe that'll help our cause. Not anything where, hey, I think it's propaganda too, but don't you think that we should at least investigate what's going on? We don't want to be caught out here, defending this if what they're saying is true. But no, they're so ashamed uh, about it, and they're upset at you because you throw it in their face, and they can no longer be a victim that they have to turn around and attack you. And that's sad, man. I'm not saying that like Jewish individuals don't have the right to live in peace, but they don't have a right to move into a city or area and then take it over. I got people in my state in Jackson, New Jersey. Google it. Like, I mean, no, excuse me, Lakewood, New Jersey, and now they're starting to trickle into a neighboring city of Jackson, New Jersey, where Six Flags Great Adventure is at. But Lakewood, New Jersey used to be a diverse township in Monmouth. Is it Monmouth or Ocean County? One of them, whatever. They the same. And now it's basically, it could be any city in Israel you'd like it to be. And then somebody will say, well, I mean, if they all decide to move there, what's wrong with that? Absolutely nothing. What's wrong is the behavior and the violation of building codes and taking over city councils so that you can push laws that are only there to help and protect Jewish individuals when we don't live in Israel. Like, it's so bad for them that I don't know where everybody's listening from, but in New Jersey they have this 1-800 Cars for Kids or something. That's been found to be an Israeli scam. And there's people online that was like, Everybody, everybody makes mistakes, but it's still a reputable charity. Yes, that said that they are trying to help kids here in America, and instead are grooming and then paying using that money for teenagers to travel to Israel on their first trip. They're saying that they've spent over $45 million of monies and vehicles and properties that's been donated to this organization directly to Israel, and it has done nothing to help any children here in the United States. And if they were, it was only because they were Jews. So, like I said, man, they're gonna still keep kicking that anti-Semitic, oh, you just don't like us or whatever. Y'all don't make it easy to. Y'all don't want to live amongst other people. You want to get to an area, take it over, and then you want to discriminate against anybody that's not Jewish. I'm watching videos from Tel Aviv where um you got Jews like spitting on Christians. They had to literally escort a group of nuns through like this corridor because they were being spit at. Like and then they're attacking Lebanon for no other reason is to add land, and the UN is doing nothing. I understand the ICC is issuing arrest warrants, and more European countries are condemning Israel, but they taking over Cyprus right now. They're starting to try to take over parts of Argentina and also parts of the Philippines, where I see my Filipino brothers and sisters that are speaking out. So look, man, I don't look between Israel and the United States. You have two of the most strongest militaries in the world. You have two of the most influential governmental machines in the world. Um, Two of the largest spy networks in the world, and all of that. So I won't put a time on it. But as it is currently constructed, Israel can't survive this way. Um, their force field um, from the UAE it is all but been destroyed. Their own Iron Dome has been destroyed. It's parts of Tel Aviv that aren't recognizable anymore. More damage has been done to Israel has ever been done in the history of that state. And they continue to want to fight and war. And they have about the amount of land of a state, my state, New Jersey, and you're fighting a country that's, I believe, like twice the size of Texas. So, and what I'm just saying that for is just from damages. You can inflict a whole lot of damage in a smaller place. So I'm saying. But look, man, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. That is my time. Once again, man, my apologies for being away so long. And I'm not gonna lie, man. A lot of times I'm sitting there and I'm hurt. Um, I'm mad, I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm disappointed. Um, and a lot of times you don't know what to do, you don't know what to say. And I feel like maybe if I do start a pod, I'm gonna be rambling. Maybe I ramble on this one, I don't know. But I was encouraged to record this episode and share this information with you and everybody within the sound of my voice. I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Please make sure that you have valid identification, and valid means that it's not out of date. It could say you, it could say all your information, but if it's out of date, it's not valid. Make sure that your name and your address on your ID matches the name and address that's on your voter registration information. It's May, and we have plenty of time to get this stuff done. So let's please do that. And also, I don't care if you have a Republican representative. He works for you. Get the number of your congressional rep and call and email and encourage other people to call and email. Don't take this nonsense sitting down. I'm not telling you get out there in the street, but you don't have to sit on your hands either. All right? That's my time, man. I'll catch y'all on the flip side, man. I want to thank everybody for their support, and I want to also point out the other great podcasts on this network: the Black Male Podcast, Encourage and Inspire, Life and Love, um, Talking with E, and this is Politics with your boy Scott. Peace.